The sun was setting over Earth as the sky above began to glow with a strange, unfamiliar frequency. It started as a faint hum, like a distant radio signal, but soon grew stronger. Captain Alex Steele, head of Earth's Defense Forces, was sitting in his control room, staring at a screen filled with cryptic data. He had heard about unusual space disturbances recently, but this was different. This wasn't a simple anomaly or random signal. The transmission was coming from far beyond their galaxy, a place they had never mapped. Steele squinted at the blinking codes on the screen. His fingers danced across the controls as he tried to decrypt the message. He had seen nothing like it before. No patterns, no familiar languages. The message didn't make sense, but one thing was clear. It was a warning. As Steele pieced the transmission together, the message finally decoded, but the words sent a chill down his spine. It spoke of an ancient and powerful alien empire, the Zarin Empire. It warned that this empire had set its sights on Earth, and soon humanity would face its end. "Captain, we're not sure if this is real," one of his officers, Lieutenant Maria Hayes, said, her voice uncertain but growing more urgent. "The source, it's far beyond anything we've ever encountered." Steele's mind raced. The Zarin Empire, a name that carried a weight of dread across the stars. He had heard stories from old military archives, tales of a ruthless and technologically advanced alien race that swept across galaxies with overwhelming force, destroying entire civilizations. The Zarin were the stuff of nightmares, and now they were coming. The transmission ended abruptly, and for a moment there was silence. Steele ordered all departments to prepare for an immediate response, though his mind was clouded with doubt. How could humanity, with its relatively primitive technology, stand against such a force? The Zarin had fleets beyond imagination, and their advanced weaponry was years ahead of Earth's best technology. But there was no time to waste. Steele and his team began analyzing the transmission, trying to find any weakness they could exploit. Just as they began forming a plan, something unexpected happened. The sky above Earth, which had been clear just moments ago, was suddenly cloaked in an unnatural darkness. It wasn't a storm. It was something far worse. Steele's comm screen blinked to life with an urgent message. His heart skipped a beat as he stared at the image before him. A massive, gleaming spaceship, unlike anything Earth had ever seen, appeared in orbit. It was as if the sky itself had torn open, and the ship had materialized from another dimension. It hovered menacingly above the planet, casting a shadow over entire continents. From the immense warship came a chilling voice, deep, cold, and full of authority. It was the Zarin King, Lord Varkos, speaking directly to Earth. "We have watched you long enough, humans," his voice echoed, vibrating through Steele's entire body. "Your primitive existence ends now." The room fell silent as Steele and his team stared in disbelief at the screen. This wasn't just an invasion. It was an announcement of extinction. Lord Varkos continued, his words dripping with arrogance and contempt for humanity. "You are nothing. We have conquered entire star systems, and now we set our sights on you. Your technology is a joke, your defense systems laughable. Prepare for annihilation." Before Steele could respond, a series of smaller ships, cloaked and invisible to Earth's satellites, materialized from the mothership. They were massive and glimmered with strange energy, unlike any spacecraft humans had ever encountered. The cloaking technology was beyond anything Earth could defend against. It was as if the Zarin Empire had mastered the very art of hiding in plain sight, appearing only when it was too late for anyone to react. The Zarin fleet was enormous. Tens of thousands of ships, each brimming with destructive power, now filled Earth's orbit. Steele could feel his pulse quicken. The sheer size of the invasion force was overwhelming. There was no question about it. Humanity was facing the biggest threat it had ever known. Steele's hands gripped the edge of his desk as his officers scrambled to access every bit of Earth's defense system. "We need to counterattack," Steele barked. Get every satellite in orbit, activate the planet's defense shields, and prepare to launch our strongest missile defenses. But deep inside, Steele knew that even with Earth's best efforts, the odds were slim. The Zarin Empire had technology so advanced that their weapons could probably disable Earth's entire defense network with a single strike. And then there was the matter of the Zarin's robotic soldiers, feared across the galaxy for their speed, precision, and ruthlessness. Lord Varkos isn't just sending ships, Steele muttered to himself. He's sending warriors. The voice of his second-in-command, Sergeant Jonathan Brooks, echoed in the tense silence. Sir, they're deploying advanced robotic soldiers across the globe. These machines can wipe out entire cities in minutes. Steele felt the weight of his responsibility bear down on him. His mind raced as he tried to think of a way to fight back. Humanity was on the brink of extinction, and the very forces that could destroy them were now arriving in full force. Suddenly, the comm screen flickered again, showing a live feed of the Zarin fleet. Hundreds of robotic soldiers, built with sleek metallic armor and carrying energy weapons, began descending from the cloaked ships. They landed on Earth's surface with terrifying precision, ready to strike. The robotic soldiers moved swiftly, taking control of entire sectors, cutting through military lines with ease. No one had ever seen such efficiency. Steele's heart sank. Earth's military was powerful, but this was nothing like anything they had ever encountered. As the countdown to invasion began, Steele and his team continued to watch helplessly. The Zarin King's voice echoed once more. Your defenses are futile. Prepare for your final moments. Lord Varkos had delivered his message, but now Earth had one last chance. Steele wasn't ready to give up. He knew there was no turning back, but the fight for humanity's survival had just begun. Steele and his team worked quickly, looking for weaknesses, hoping for any advantage they could find. Time was running out. And then, as Steele stared at the incoming fleet, one thing became clear. The fight for Earth's future was about to begin, and humanity was going to need every ounce of strength to survive this terrifying new reality. The world had only a few hours to prepare, and the pressure was immense. As Earth's military scrambled to launch its counteroffensive, the calmness of routine life was shattered. There was no more time for diplomacy or negotiation. The Zarin Empire had arrived, and the attack had begun. Captain Alex Steele's mind raced as he stood in the command center, directing operations and coordinating with every branch of Earth's military. The fleet of alien ships that hovered above them, cloaked in technology too advanced to be fully understood, was now unleashing devastation from above. The Zarin King, Lord Varkos, had ordered an orbital bombardment, and Earth's major cities were the first targets. The shockwaves from the strikes rattled buildings, and plumes of smoke rose into the sky as fires began to rage in the wake of the bombardment. Steele watched as the destruction unfolded on the holographic map before him. He clenched his fists, the weight of the responsibility pressing on his shoulders. He could feel the tension in the air. His team, loyal and sharp, worked feverishly alongside the military officers, trying to figure out how to hold back this powerful enemy. But with each passing second, their task seemed more hopeless. The alien ships above Earth were relentless, and there was no clear way to counter the devastation they were causing. Steele's voice cut through the chaos, calm but authoritative. Activate the new AI-controlled defense satellites. We need them operational now. These satellites, recently developed with the help of Earth's best scientists, were humanity's last hope for defense. Unlike conventional weapons, the satellites were powered by artificial intelligence, designed to make split-second decisions on how to engage enemy forces in Earth's orbit. They were equipped with advanced targeting systems and energy weapons capable of striking down the Zarin fleet. But Steele knew that their success depended on timing. The satellites had to be activated before the Zarin could escalate their attack further. As Steele gave the order, the tension mounted. The world watched as the satellites slowly powered up, their massive, gleaming arrays focusing on the incoming Zarin ships. The first shots fired from the defense systems lit up the night sky. For a moment, it seemed like the tides might turn. The satellite beams struck a Zeran cruiser, creating a bright flash as the vessel shuddered under the attack. But as quickly as the satellite's energy beams hit, the Zeran fleet adapted. Their ships deployed energy shields that deflected the satellite shots. "They've adapted too quickly," Steele muttered under his breath. "We need to engage on the ground." At that moment, Lieutenant Maria Hayes spoke up, breaking the silence in the command room. "The robots are on the move, sir. They've started infiltrating the cities." The Zeran Empire's most terrifying weapon had arrived, robots capable of cloaking themselves and slipping through the defenses undetected. These robots weren't just machines. They were soldiers, each armed with powerful energy weapons and designed to eliminate any human resistance with deadly precision. They had already begun infiltrating major cities, leaving destruction in their wake. Steele's jaw tightened. The AI satellites were failing, and the Zeran robots were too well equipped to ignore. "Bonner," he called, turning to the robot standing by his side. Bonner was no ordinary machine. He was Steele's trusted companion, a highly advanced robot with a humanoid form, artificial intelligence that surpassed anything Earth had ever built. Bonner's loyalty and tactical genius had saved Steele countless times, and now Steele was counting on him to lead a ground mission to stop the robots. "Are you ready?" Steele asked, as Bonner's robotic eyes glowed in response. "I'm ready, Captain," Bonner replied, his voice steady. "I'll follow your lead." With that, Steele, Bonner, and a small team of soldiers were sent to the front line. They were armed with cutting-edge human weapons, but they were vastly outmatched by the Zerans' advanced technology. They knew they would have to rely on their wits and fast, tactical thinking to survive. The streets of the city were eerily quiet at first, with nothing but the distant sounds of explosions and sirens. As they moved deeper into the heart of the city, Steele's instincts screamed that something wasn't right. The air felt heavy with the sense of an impending ambush. Suddenly, a streak of light cut through the sky, and the sound of robotic footsteps echoed around them. The Zeran robots had found them. The battle that ensued was a blur of flashes and noise. Steele and his team moved with precision, firing at the cloaked robots as they emerged from the shadows. Bonner's robotic body was a blur as he fought alongside Steele, using his advanced strength to disable one robot after another. But the robots were relentless, adapting and countering their every move. It was clear they were outmatched in terms of firepower, but Steele was determined to hold his ground. In the chaos, Steele's heart sank as he saw a group of robots surround him, preparing to strike. He barely had time to react as one of them lunged forward, its weapon raised. But just as it was about to strike, Bonner threw himself in the path, taking the hit to protect Steele. "Bonner!" Steele shouted, rushing to his fallen companion's side. Bonner's mechanical body was damaged, sparks flying from his chest. The robot's voice crackled with static as he spoke. "Captain, you must survive." Tears welled up in Steele's eyes, even though he knew Bonner wasn't human. The loss of his companion hit him hard, deep within his chest. It was a sacrifice that fueled his anger, igniting a new fire in him to fight back harder. "I will finish this for you, Bonner," Steele whispered, clenching his fists. The mission was no longer just about survival. It was personal now. With Bonner's sacrifice, Steele and his team fought with everything they had, pushing forward through the chaos. They managed to disable several of the Zeran robots, but the battle was far from over. In the distance, they could see the massive Zeran warship looming above, its weapons charging for another devastating strike. Back in orbit, Lord Varkos watched the battle unfold, his face twisted in fury. The human resistance had proven more resilient than he had anticipated. Earth had not yet fallen as he expected. "Why are they still standing?" Lord Varkos hissed, his voice filled with anger. He slammed his fist on the armrest of his throne. "They should have been wiped out already." In that moment, Varkos made a decision. His anger fueled his next command. Prepare for planetary-scale destruction. If the humans will not surrender, then let their world be destroyed. The countdown to Earth's doom began. A massive beam of energy began to charge from the Zarin warship, ready to unleash its devastating power. Steel, now fully aware of the stakes, watched in horror as the countdown clock ticked away. The fate of humanity rested in their hands. Would Earth survive, or would the Zarin Empire's wrath destroy everything? The final battle for Earth's survival had only just begun. After the devastating attack on Earth, humanity's hope seemed to dwindle with each passing moment. Cities burned, countless lives were lost, and the Zarin Empire's invasion appeared unstoppable. The world watched in horror as Lord Varkos, the Zarin king, seemed to be one step ahead at every turn. His fleet continued to pound Earth from above, and the Zarin robots stormed through cities, mercilessly killing any human in their path. But just when it seemed like all was lost, a glimmer of hope appeared. Captain Alex Steele was not one to give up easily. As the leader of Earth's defense forces, he had witnessed the horrors that humanity was facing firsthand. Yet through the devastation, something sparked inside him. A realization that there might still be a way to fight back. It wasn't much, but it was something. With what little resources Earth had left, Steele and his team had been working tirelessly to find a weakness in the Zarin Empire's overwhelming technology. And then, one night, a breakthrough came. Steele and his top engineers discovered something unexpected. The Zarin fleet's power grid had a vulnerability, one that could potentially cripple their entire armada. The key to victory was an EMP bomb, specially crafted to target the alien ship's power source and disable their weapons and cloaking devices. This was the glimmer of hope Steele had been waiting for, but it came at a high cost. The EMP bomb had to be deployed directly into the heart of the Zarin flagship, a massive warship that loomed above Earth like a dark cloud of destruction. Infiltrating the flagship would be a near-impossible task, but Steele knew that if they didn't act, the Zarin would destroy everything. Steele gathered a small, elite team of soldiers, each chosen for their combat skills and ability to remain calm under pressure. Among them was Anna, a fierce soldier with a reputation for fearlessness. She was a close ally of Steele, and he trusted her with his life. Along with their group of experts, Steele's team was equipped with cloaking devices, technology that would allow them to infiltrate the Zarin flagship undetected. They were going to take the fight directly to the heart of the enemy. The plan was dangerous, and Steele knew that the risks were high. The Zarin flagship was heavily guarded by robotic sentries and advanced AI security systems, but Steele had no choice. It was now or never. As Steele and his team approached the massive warship, they activated their cloaking devices and made their way towards the flagship's docking bay. The corridors inside the ship were dark and foreboding, the walls pulsing with a strange alien energy. Their every step was calculated, their every movement measured. They couldn't afford to make a single mistake. They encountered the first line of defense almost immediately. Robotic sentries patrolling the corridors. These robots, programmed to detect any intruders, were formidable opponents. But Steele and his team were prepared. They moved swiftly, using their cloaking devices to remain hidden, only striking when necessary. The robots were fast and strong, but the human soldiers were faster and smarter. Steele's team eliminated them one by one, making their way deeper into the ship. However, the further they ventured, the more dangerous their mission became. They encountered more advanced security measures, laser grids, motion detectors, and even eye-controlled drones that patrolled the corridors. Steele's heart raced as he led his team through the obstacles, keeping his focus on the mission ahead. But the cost of their infiltration was mounting. With every step, Steele's team lost more soldiers. Some fell in battle, others to the unforgiving nature of the ship's security systems. Each loss weighed heavily on Steele's heart, but he couldn't afford to stop. Every death fueled his resolve to press on, to make sure their sacrifice wasn't in vain. As the team advanced, the bond between Steel and his soldiers grew stronger. They were no longer just a group of individuals. They were a unit, fighting not just for their lives, but for the future of humanity. In one particularly tense moment, Anna pulled Steel aside for a brief conversation. They were hiding in a narrow alcove, catching their breath after taking down a group of Zeran sentries. "Do you ever wonder if we can actually win this?" Anna asked, her voice filled with a mixture of fear and determination. She had been by Steel's side through thick and thin, but even she had doubts now. The odds were against them, and it was hard to see a way out. Steel looked at her, his expression hardening. "Every day. But I refuse to let them win, Anna. We fight for the future of our children, for the world that's left. We don't give up." Anna nodded, her eyes shining with a mixture of hope and sadness. "Then we'll fight until the end, Captain." With renewed resolve, Steel's team continued their mission, pushing forward despite the growing dangers. They finally reached the heart of the Zeran flagship, the power core, the heart of the ship's immense energy supply. The EMP bomb had to be placed here to disable the entire fleet, and Steel knew this was their only chance. But just as they were about to set the bomb, an alarm blared throughout the ship, and the doors to the power core room slammed shut. The team turned to face the threat. Standing before them was the Zeran Emperor's most lethal warrior, a bioengineered soldier, a hulking mass of muscle and armor, with enhanced strength, speed, and combat abilities far beyond anything the humans have faced before. Steel's heart skipped a beat as the warrior stepped forward, his eyes glowing with malice. The bioengineered soldier's weapons were already raised, and Steel knew that this would be the ultimate test of his team's resolve. They had come this far, but now they had to face the enemy's strongest fighter. The soldier roared, charging towards Steel and his team. Steel gritted his teeth, preparing for the fight of his life. The fate of Earth and the future of humanity depended on their success. The battle had only just begun, and the stakes had never been higher. Would they be able to defeat the bioengineered warrior and complete their mission, or would the Zeran Empire crush them all? The answer lay in the fight ahead. The world seemed to tremble under the weight of the alien invasion. Steel's heart raced as he faced the bioengineered warrior in the dimly lit power core room of the Zeran flagship. This was the final battle, the ultimate test. The EMP bomb was in place, but the timer was ticking. Time was running out. The fate of Earth rested on his shoulders. The warrior charged at Steel with terrifying speed, his massive body moving like a juggernaut. Steel barely had time to react, but he was ready. The alien soldier swung a massive energy blade at him, and Steel dodged, narrowly avoiding the strike. He countered with a punch to the warrior's side, but the blow barely made a dent. The warrior was heavily armored and incredibly strong. Steel knew that this fight would take everything he had. He couldn't afford to lose, not now, not when Earth was so close to salvation. The warrior swung again, this time with a powerful kick aimed at Steel's midsection. Steel barely managed to block the strike, feeling the force of it rattle his bones. He gritted his teeth and fought back with everything he had. The two combatants collided with an explosive force, exchanging blows in a brutal close-quarters combat scene. Steel's punches landed with precision, but the warrior's sheer strength kept him at bay. It was a battle of wits and strength, and Steel knew he couldn't win through brute force alone. He needed to outsmart the alien. As the battle raged on, Steel's mind raced. He had been trained for moments like this, but even his skills were being pushed to the limit. He knew the EMP bomb would be their last chance to disable the Zeran fleet, but it could also destroy Earth's future. The decision weighed heavily on him. Would he sacrifice humanity's chance at space exploration to save the planet, or would he fight on, risking everything for a chance at victory? With a final surge of adrenaline, Steel found an opening. The warrior lunged at him, and Steel sidestepped, using the alien's momentum against him. He twisted the warrior's arm and drove him into the ground. The warrior struggled, but Steel's strength and determination were greater. With a final, crushing blow, Steel ended the fight. Breathing heavily, Steel quickly planted the EMP bomb deep inside the power core. The timer began its countdown. 5 minutes. But as he backed away, the ground shook, and the sound of a massive warship descending onto Earth's surface echoed in the distance. Lord Varkos, the Zarin Emperor, had arrived. It was the final showdown. Lord Varkos stepped onto the surface of Earth, his towering form clad in shimmering armor. His eyes glowed with rage as he surveyed the planet, watching the remnants of humanity fight back against his forces. He had been watching Earth for years, studying its people, and now it was time to claim his victory. The humans had been nothing more than a nuisance, but now, it seemed, they had finally earned his attention. Meanwhile, in space, Earth's final line of defense was readying for the battle of a lifetime. Human-made star destroyers, equipped with the most advanced technology humanity could muster, were launching into space to face the Zarin fleet. The starships were powered by human ingenuity, with advanced AI combat systems that rivaled even the Zarin Empire's technology. They were the last hope for Earth, and they weren't going to give up without a fight. As the human ships clashed against the Zarin fleet in space, explosions lit up the sky. The space battle was chaotic, with ships darting in and out of the fray, lasers flashing in every direction. The Zarin ships, powerful and relentless, tore through the human fleet, but the human star destroyers fought back with everything they had. The battle was a desperate struggle, with both sides taking heavy losses. But despite the odds, humanity held its ground. Steel, watching the battle from the ground, knew that his team had done everything they could. The EMP bomb was set, the human forces were fighting bravely, but the war was far from over. Lord Varkos had descended, and the final battle was at hand. Steel stood at the edge of the battlefield, watching as the Zarin Emperor prepared to face him. The alien king's eyes locked onto Steel, and a sinister smile spread across his face. Steel's mind raced. He had a choice to make, one that would determine the fate of humanity. If he detonated the EMP bomb, the Zarin fleet would be crippled, but it would also render Earth's technology useless. Humanity would be set back by decades, unable to advance in space exploration. The dream of reaching the stars would be shattered. But if he didn't detonate the EMP and fought Lord Varkos head-on, Earth's chances of survival would be slim. The alien king was too powerful, too skilled. Steel knew that this could be his final stand, and the weight of the decision was crushing. As the countdown on the EMP bomb reached its final seconds, Steel and Lord Varkos faced off on Earth's surface. The alien king, furious at humanity's defiance, charged at Steel with lightning speed. Steel raised his weapon, preparing for the final battle. It was a fight between good and evil, between humanity's will to survive and the Zarin Empire's desire for domination. With only seconds remaining, Steel made his decision. He couldn't risk humanity's future by detonating the bomb, not without knowing the consequences. He had to fight, not just for survival, but for the hope of a better future. The two combatants clashed in a battle of epic proportions, the ground shaking beneath their feet as they exchanged blows. Steel's heart raced as he faced the alien king, knowing that this was the moment that would define the future of Earth. As the fight continued, Steel felt his strength waning. But he refused to give up. He had come too far, and humanity's survival depended on him. He would fight until the very end. With a final, desperate surge of energy, Steel landed a powerful blow to Lord Varkos, sending the alien king crashing to the ground. The Zarin Emperor let out a roar of rage as he struggled to get back up. But it was too late. The final battle was over. Humanity had won. The EMP bomb detonated, disabling the Zarin fleet and sending the alien invaders into disarray. Lord Varkos lay defeated, and Earth was free. Humanity had triumphed over the forces of evil, but the cost had been high. Many lives had been lost, but the future of Earth was now secure. And as Steel stood on the battlefield, Breathing heavily and bloodied from the fight, he knew one thing for certain. Earth's journey into the stars had just begun. Victory had come at last. Captain Alex Steele, battered and exhausted, stood amid the wreckage of what was once the heart of the Zeran fleet. The EMP bomb, which had been set to disable the alien invaders' power, had done its job. The Zeran ships were crippled, falling from the skies like broken birds, their advanced systems failing one after another. Earth's desperate resistance had turned the tide of the battle, and humanity had emerged victorious. But the price had been high. The world was scared by the battle, but there was hope now. Hope that Earth would survive and rebuild. Steele had given everything he had for this moment, but even as the EMP's shockwave sent the alien armada into chaos, the Zeran Emperor, Lord Varkos, was not ready to concede defeat. Somehow, despite the destruction, he had survived. Varkos, his eyes blazing with fury, was not one to retreat so easily. He had watched humanity's last stand with a mix of disdain and admiration. And now, in his final moments, he planned to make one last, devastating move. In the aftermath of the EMP strike, Varkos launched his final assault, a full-scale attack on Earth's capital city. His warship, though damaged, descended from the sky with a menacing roar, and with it came waves of advanced robotic soldiers, ready to wipe out what remained of humanity. The human forces had already taken a beating, and now it seemed as though the end was near. But Steele was determined that Earth would not fall. He knew what had to be done. The EMP had worked, but Varkos was still alive, and Earth's capital was about to face a brutal, merciless assault. Steele's team had fought through the worst, and the resistance had held their ground. But this final battle, this final act of defiance, would require something more than just strategy. It would require the ultimate sacrifice. Steele couldn't bear to see Earth destroyed after everything they had fought for. Steele had always been a man of action, a leader who inspired his people to fight when all seemed lost. But now, in this moment, as he prepared for the final confrontation, he realized something profound. The true strength of humanity wasn't just in their weapons, their technology, or even in their soldiers. It was in their unity, their ability to come together against impossible odds. And that, above all, was what made them powerful. The final battle began with the earth-shattering roar of Varkos' warship, which unleashed an onslaught of energy beams toward Earth's capital. The human forces scrambled to fight back, but Steele knew that even with their best efforts, the tide was against them. The aliens were too powerful, too relentless. There was only one way to stop them for good. With his heart heavy but resolute, Steele made a choice. He gathered a team of elite soldiers and set a course for the alien warship. They would board the ship, sabotage the remaining systems, and take down Lord Varkos himself. It was a suicide mission, but Steele knew that this was humanity's final chance. If they could defeat the Zeran Emperor once and for all, the rest of the fleet would scatter, and Earth would be free. As Steele and his team infiltrated the Zeran ship, they faced fierce resistance from the remaining robotic soldiers and automated defenses. They fought their way through the ship's dark, metallic corridors, using every bit of human ingenuity to survive. Steele's thoughts were with Earth, the home he had sworn to protect, the people who had placed their trust in him. This mission was more than just a fight for survival. It was for the future of all humankind. But the journey to the heart of the warship came at a cost. Many of Steele's team fell along the way, sacrificing their lives for the greater good. Each loss struck Steele deeply, but it only fueled his resolve. He couldn't afford to lose this war, not when so much was at stake. His team's bravery, their willingness to fight until the very end, would not be in vain. Finally, Steele reached the core of the warship, where Lord Varkos waited. The alien king, his form cloaked in dark armor, stood at the heart of the ship's command center. His eyes met Steele's with a mixture of hatred and respect. It was clear that Varkos saw Steele as the last obstacle standing between him and complete domination. He had underestimated humanity, but now, at the final moment, He was ready to destroy them once and for all. Steel and Varkos locked eyes, and the tension was palpable. The battle that followed was unlike anything Steel had ever experienced. The two warriors fought with everything they had. Varkos with his alien strength and technology, Steel with his indomitable human will. The alien king was fast, his movements calculated, but Steel was relentless, fueled by the memory of all those who had fallen in the fight for Earth's survival. In the midst of the battle, Steel knew what had to be done. He reached for the human-made weapon strapped to his side, a device that had been developed to penetrate the Zaren's advanced shielding. As Varkos launched a final devastating attack, Steel activated the weapon and unleashed a blast that hit the alien king with devastating force. The shockwave sent Varkos crashing to the ground, his body broken and bleeding. But even as Varkos fell, Steel knew that the fight was not over. He had to make the ultimate sacrifice to ensure that Earth would be saved. With a final, solemn look toward the sky, Steel activated the EMP device embedded in his suit, triggering a massive explosion that rippled through the Zaren ship. The alien technology was destroyed, and the Zaren forces were left powerless. As Steel lay dying, surrounded by the wreckage of the warship, he found peace in knowing that humanity would survive. His final moments were filled with the thought of all those who would continue the fight, those who would rebuild, restore, and carry the torch of hope forward. In his last breath, Steel reflected on the true strength of humanity. They had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. It wasn't just their technology or their weapons that made them strong. It was their unity, their will to survive, and their unwavering belief in each other. Steel had given everything for this moment, and in doing so, he had ensured that Earth's future was secure. As the dust settled and the Zaren fleet retreated, Varkos' last words echoed in Steel's mind. "This is not over. The galaxy will remember what you did here." His voice was filled with fury and defiance, but Steel knew that humanity had made its mark on the universe. Earth had won, but this victory came with a bittersweet edge. The Zaren forces were defeated, but the cost was steep. Earth had lost many heroes, and Steel himself was gone. Yet in the wake of the battle, humanity was forever changed. They were no longer a fledgling species struggling for survival. They had proven to the galaxy that they could stand against even the most powerful forces. They had shown that, in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity would never back down. As Earth began to rebuild, Steel's sacrifice would never be forgotten. His name would be etched into history, a symbol of the strength and resilience of humanity. The fight was over, but the journey was just beginning. The future was uncertain, but humanity had proven that they would rise again, stronger than ever. Steel's team returned to Earth, their bodies battered and minds weary, but the weight of victory pressed upon them like a mantle of pride. The once crumbling cityscapes were now filled with people who looked toward the sky with newfound hope. The air was different, charged with anticipation, resilience, and the unshakable belief that humanity had overcome its greatest test. The war was over, the Zaren Empire shattered, and Earth had survived. In the heart of the planet, the United Nations held a special ceremony to honor those who had fought and died for Earth's freedom. It was a day of remembrance, but also of celebration. The world had watched in awe as Captain Steel and his team led humanity to an improbable victory. Once seen as weak, Earth had now proven itself to be a force that could not be ignored. The ceremony was not just a recognition of the soldiers' bravery, but a recognition of what humanity had become. The people of Earth no longer felt like underdogs. They had defeated a technologically superior empire, and in doing so, had sent a message to the galaxy. Humanity was no longer to be underestimated. Steel's sacrifice would never be forgotten. He had given everything to protect Earth, and his name had become a symbol of human determination. But as the celebrations continued, it became clear that his death was not the end. It was the beginning of a new chapter for humanity, one that would see them rise from the ashes and set their sights on the stars. The world had changed. The war had united humanity in a way that had never been seen before. The divisions that had once separated nations and cultures had dissolved. People of all races, creeds, and backgrounds stood together, bound by a single purpose: to honor the legacy of the brave souls who had fought for Earth's survival and to ensure that such a threat would never arise again. But Steele's sacrifice had inspired more than just unity. It had sparked a new era of exploration. No longer content to remain in the shadows of the galaxy, humanity had set its eyes on the stars, determined to prove to the universe that they were more than just survivors. They were conquerors, innovators, and explorers. In the years following the defeat of the Zarin Empire, Earth's technological advancements skyrocketed. The war had pushed humanity's scientific community to its limits, and what had once seemed impossible was now within reach. Human ingenuity had turned the tide against a race that had once been invincible, and now it would propel them into the future. Earth's defenses, bolstered by the lessons learned during the war, were stronger than ever. The human race had seen the destruction that could be wrought by a powerful alien force, and they would never again be caught off guard. New weapons, new technologies, and new strategies had been developed to ensure that Earth would remain safe from any future threats. The people of Earth were no longer afraid to stand up for themselves. But it wasn't just about defense. The war had opened humanity's eyes to the vastness of the universe, and they were eager to explore it. They had proven themselves in battle, and now it was time to prove themselves in the great expanse of space. The first human colonies on distant planets were established, and new ships, faster and more advanced than ever before, began to explore the reaches of the galaxy. And it wasn't just humanity that had changed. The once feared aliens who had once seen humans as weak and insignificant now looked at them with a mixture of awe and wariness. Some, like the Raskari, had already reached out in peace, eager to forge alliances with humanity. The Zarin Empire's defeat had sent ripples through the galaxy, and many of the once powerful alien races now saw humanity as an emerging power to be respected. Yet, despite all the progress, humanity was not alone. There were whispers of new threats, of darker forces watching from the shadows. The legacy of the Zarin Empire had not ended with their defeat. Their influence lingered, and with it came the knowledge that not all alien races viewed humanity's rise with admiration. The final moments of Steele's team had been filled with triumph, but also with uncertainty. There was much more to do, much more to discover. The universe was vast, and humanity's journey had just begun. The celebration of Earth's victory was not the end of the story, but a prologue to something greater. As Earth prepared for the next phase of its journey into the stars, a final shot showed a human ship departing from Earth's atmosphere. The sleek vessel cut through the sky, heading toward the unknown reaches of space. The stars that had once seemed so distant now beckoned, offering new worlds to explore, new challenges to face, and new allies, or enemies, to encounter. Humanity had proven that it could face adversity and rise above it. They had survived, thrived, and had become a force to be reckoned with. But the journey was far from over. New frontiers awaited, and humanity was eager to discover what lay beyond the horizon. But as the human ship soared into the vastness of space, a final, chilling scene unfolded. A mysterious alien fleet, hidden in the shadows of a distant star system, watched Earth from afar. Their ships, sleek and silent, remained undetected by human sensors. The fleet was composed of races unknown, their intentions unclear, but their presence unmistakable. It was clear that the galaxy was not ready to forget humanity's rise. From the command deck of the alien fleet, a voice echoed through the cold, sterile chambers, a voice that would send a shiver down the spine of any who heard it. The voice of Lord Varkos, still alive in some form, warned Earth, "The humans will be our greatest enemy yet." As the camera zoomed out, revealing the alien fleet's vast and intimidating presence, the chilling words of Varkos lingered in the air. The humans had won, but the galaxy had not forgotten their victory. New challenges, new battles, and new enemies lay ahead. Humanity's rise was only the beginning. The true test of their strength and resolve was yet to come. With the camera panning out over the stars, the future of Earth was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity was no longer the underdog. They had earned their place in the galaxy, and they would not go down without a fight. The legacy of steel, of all those who fought and died for Earth's survival, would live on as a beacon of hope, a reminder that even the greatest of odds could be overcome by those who dared to stand firm. The battle had been won, but the war for the future of humanity was just beginning.